Well, since I was a child, I have been dealing with chronic fatigue. Even when I was in kindergarten, no sleep was enough. I was commonly found, back in my day, we took naps on the floor during kindergarten, and the kids would be up off the floor. The teacher would have to come wake me up, and I would be, honestly, it was embarrassing to see the kids all awake and at their school desk and working. But, that was just the way I was. It was common for me to come home after school and have to take a nap as well. So nothing was ever quite enough for sleep. I had my first sleep study as a teen, and then 3 more in my 30s and 40s. Nothing was ever really figured out. They called it idiopathic hypersomnia because they didn't know why I slept so much, both during the day and the night. I did both sleep studies at daytime and nighttime studies. In my early 20s, I went to a Pearl Jam concert with my husband, and I fell asleep. And I remember my husband saying that he joked, he said, everybody around us was looking, going, I want whatever she's on. I wasn't on anything. I was just tired. So I started researching supplements and looking for answers through diet. I focused on whole food nutrition. I took some supplements that were whole food nutrition capsules since about 2010. I kept dietary sugar and carbs low. In 2014, I was diagnosed with a tick-borne illness that you get from a tiny little tick, and fatigue became even worse. I would have random fevers, body aches, arthritis in my hands, my knees were swollen, and that just, my chiropractor told me after hearing the symptoms that I should get tested, and I tested what's considered CDC positive for this tick disease. And 6 months into treatments with multiple antibiotics, we tried a lot of different ones. I developed full body tremors, and they used a PICC line to give me antibiotics where I had to take and inject myself daily. I think it was 3 times a day with various IV antibiotics. And that did help relieve me of the tremors, but I continued to still have other symptoms. And it was just constant nausea. After 3 years, I had been going to various doctors and not seeing much improvement. I quit all the medicines. I did some herbal tinctures for a while, and I prioritized exercising in the morning, mainly because that's when I had the most energy I was going to have through the day, and I wanted to see if that would help. And it did to a degree. It brought me back to what I would call a kind of a normal chronic fatigue state. And my days were spent just trying to do the everyday activities a mom typically does. Clients, I'm formerly a hairstylist, and I would schedule my clients around naps. I would always have to leave a time open in the afternoon for potential need for a nap, with high probability that that was going to be needed. Anyway, my aches and pains would come and go, joint flares would come and go. And then in 2018, I started having some sudden chronic head pains. And by the end of that year, I was at 25 a month, and my neurologist didn't know really what to do because she had tried everything to help me and nothing was really helping. I went super low carb, and that did help to bring them down to 2 to 5 a month, but they were still there. In 2021, when COVID hit, that was when I got COVID, the head pains returned. I had, again, random joint flares, swelling in my hands again. Not as bad as it was originally, but it was still there. and then weakness that was in my muscles that wasn't necessarily that I wasn't strong. I could still lift the weights at the gym just as much, but I just had this overall like limp feeling. It was really hard to describe. Um, Fatigue took on a whole new level in early of spring 2023 this year. And I became super strict trying to seek what else could help me to feel better. And the only thing I hadn't really ever focused on was keeping a super tight sleep schedule. And that's when I changed that and decided I was going to go to bed at a regular time. So most nights it was 9 o'clock and I was up at 6. It really didn't help. But I kept it anyway. I continue to search podcasts and listen to doctors looking for any answers. And I came across peptides. And I had been listening and searching doctors that I trusted. Did they agree that peptides were good? I knew nothing about peptides. Ended up saying, yes, they were good. I found 2 books on them and read all about peptides and was ready to start injections, which I was dreading. But I was ready to start taking injections, had signed up with a doctor locally. He was about an hour away and had already had my lab work done when one morning while I was scanning Facebook, I ran across a message from a doctor of pharmacy. She's a PharmD. Her name's Dr. Cashel Southwick, and she was on a mutual friend's post. And she had linked something for her, and it just intrigued me. So I checked it out. I watched the video, and it was about your body's ability to restore itself using patches that reflect light. So I was curious. I watched all day long various things that I'd heard about it, researched the company, and I was willing to try because I didn't really want injections. So after patching, the first day, I didn't really feel anything that first day, but the next day I felt like this vague possibility that I was having more mental alertness and slight more energy. And I found that out because my biggest clue was I didn't feel like I had to fight sleeping in church. And just to say, Pastor Bud, that has nothing to do with reflecting on your sermons. It's all me. But it was wonderful to be able to just sit and not feel like I was fighting sleep. By day 3, I was feeling extremely blessed. My energy rose and it felt like the Energizer Bunny. It just skyrocketed. I got more done in 2 weeks than I had in 2 years as it continued. I've been able to add so much to my life, getting projects done, adding in things that I've wanted to do and just didn't have the energy to do because I had to prioritize the absolute necessary things in life. I feel like I've accomplished a lot because I can think clearly and there's a calm in the chaos. My stressors haven't left me. These are just things that have improved. I didn't even know I was feeling like a mental fog and how much stress was affecting me, just the everyday life. But those stressors haven't gone away. I've added more to it, but there's still just this calmness about me.
So Susan, how long have you been on the patches now?
So it's been 4 months now.
And then which patch